Okay, students, this is the geometry alphabet, so we're going to go through the kinds of symbols you need to be comfortable using in this class. Now, in this diagram right here, we're going to name several things. Now, you need to be aware that there's multiple answers here. I'm only going to give you a few examples. First off, a line. We have 3 of them here. Make this a little bit bolder here. So there's a line. And there's a line, and there's a line right there. Now, to name any of these, you only need 2 points. So for this line, I could call it AB and put a little baby line above it. BA would work just fine as well, either way, for that line right there. If I wanted to name this line, I could use any 2 letters, CD or DC. Or notice it has a lowercase cursive letter right at the end. I could also call that one line I. For this big long line here, I could call that KF. And again, you must have the little double arrows. So all of those would be considered lines. Now, array is just piece of a line. So array would be, see that blue right there? I could call that, since D is towards the arrow, that would be CD with the ray, C being the end point. I could also go this way, right there. And I could call that CA. Or if I wanted to name this ray going this way, I could call that CB with the ray. Notice the second point is always the one that goes, or let's do another one just for good measure so you can see them all. Or if I want to call this ray starting with F going this way, I can call that FK with the arrow again towards the K because it's right there. So those would all be examples of rays. A segment is just a piece of a line. So any piece of the line here, CD, AC, CB, all of those are KF again. All of those would be segments. How do I distinguish them? You just use 2 letters. CA, notice no arrows. DC, no arrows. KF, no arrows, with the segment line. A plane. We name planes if we have 4 letters in the corners. Problem is we don't have 4 letters in the corners, so you want to look for a single cursive uppercase letter in the right-hand corner. That's not a point. If it's cursive, that names the whole plane. So we would call that plane J. An angle. When I do an angle, I have to use 3 letters and the little baby symbol for angle. I could use any 3 letters. For example, right here, DCB, that would be an angle right there. DCB, trace and sweep. Let's try another one. I'm going to do angle ACD. It looks like here you start at A, go to C, go to D, sweep. Trace and sweep, and there's an angle. Have to use 3 letters for an angle. What's another name for line H? Here's line H right here. So we can use any 2 letters to name that line. So we could call it this. We could call it AB. Must have arrows. I could call it CB. That would be the exact same line with arrows. I could even call it BA if I wanted to. Coplanar means on the same plane, so any 3 points on the same plane would be considered coplanar. So coplanar would be something like this. A, B, and G. Those are 3 points on the plane. A, B, and G would be coplanar. Non-coplanar would be a set of 3 points that do not rest on the same plane. So an example of that would be something like this. G, K, which G and K are on the same plane, but then F is off the plane. So as a set, GKF would be considered non-coplanar. GKF. And the reason is because F is not on the same plane as G and K. So as a set, they would be considered non-coplanar.